From KPRC Channel 2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
And good morning and welcome to Houston Newsmakers. I hope you had a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. Many of you, no doubt, have dived headlong into the holiday shopping season. While it can be a wonderful time of the year, it can also be a dangerous time. For example, take a look at these Christmas trees. One on the right, fresh tree. That means properly watered, which means fresh water dailies. Needles healthy and green. One on the left has been allowed to dry out. Both have ignition sources near them. The clock's down at the bottom right in the corner. Clock's running, smoke on the right. The one on the left, within just a few seconds, really, of ignition source coming to play, man, that goes up significant flames. Just one lesson to learn. That's to start by making sure your trees are fresh when you buy them, at least one of the lessons. This is not something my first guests want to have to deal with. Spring Fire Department Deputy Chief Jerod Davenport, firefighter Jacob Bailey, thank you for being here. That video was really scary. That's kind of one of those examples of what people need to think about before they start putting their trees in. Fresh is always going to be best.
Yes, sir.
What's the process going on when you're out trying to teach people about fire safety? Does the Spring Department have fire safety kind of programs throughout that you go out and try to tell people in the neighborhoods about taking care of themselves and being safe?
Yes, sir. So the Spring Fire Department educates the public through the school systems as well as public relation events at the fire stations.
Mm-hmm. What does that entail? You say public relations events. What kind of stuff is there?
Allowing the public to come in and our firefighters educating them on various topics such as Christmas time,
mm-hmm.
You know, the tree safety, and during the winter with the cooler temperatures, using space heaters and various heating devices, being able to educate the public on using them safely.
Yeah, it makes sense. This time of December, when it gets cold, people start putting their space heaters too close to things, and they catch fire, and you guys have to go out and make runs. You notice that the number of calls go up during the holiday season?
We experience a higher call volume during the cooler months and in the holiday season as well.
You look kind of young, Jacob.
Yes,
how old are you?
23.
Okay, so that's pretty young to be a firefighter. What is it that made you want to go into firefighting?
It seemed like a really good job, has great benefits, and I just wanted to help the community and help people, you know.
What's your biggest concern when you roll up on a fire?
My safety, my crew's safety, and then worried about the victim's safety if there's anybody in danger.
This problem is, we talked about I started with the Christmas tree, and I got some nice juicy stats here about Christmas trees and what kind of problems they can cause. This is from the National Fire Protection Association. I didn't make these up. From an average of 200 home fires a year started by Christmas trees, an average of 6 deaths, almost $15 million a year in damage. 40% involved something related to lighting. I did not know that. 42% occurred in December, which makes sense, and a bit less in January. Amazingly, 24% were intentional. Were you surprised when you saw that?
The statistics are high, especially during the winter months. So,
why do you think that the number of incidents go up during that period of time?
I think there is more use of, again, the space heaters, the decorations that you pull out and put up during this time,
mm-hmm.
The use of candles, the use of lights that may be damaged or worn out over the years that they continue to use.
Right.
And all of these could be contributing factors.
You mentioned candles. I'm glad you mentioned that, because candles, it seems, are nice and decorative. People want to put them out there. Quite simply, putting them too close to a source of recognition. Spring Fire Department, you guys get video, you guys get ready no matter what. You're obviously not, it doesn't matter what, you don't know what you're going to go out to, so everybody gets ready when you go out. But the fire, the candles put right there, and this really just shows, as the close proximity, so many things can catch fire. And when you're, Jacob, when you go to Fire Academy, learning what to put out and how to put it out, what kind of things do you learn in terms of the most effective ways to put out fires, depending on what you're going to be running into?
Well, when we run into a fire, we obviously put water on the fire.
Yeah.
Firemen are known for their fire hoses, using that. That's essentially just cooling down the heat source. It takes 3 things for a fire to sustain itself, and that's oxygen, heat, and a fuel source. So the fuel's there, the oxygen's there in the environment, so what we need to do is cool it down. So that's why we use water. We get in there and put a copious amounts of water on the fire and wait for it to go out.
This time of year, with the candles starting the fires as they do, some of the stats show that fires are quite a bit responsible for some of these things. 55% of December home decoration fires were started by candles. And no surprise here, the top 3 days for fires started by candles. Christmas is #1, New Year's Day followed by New Year's Eve. And it seems to me all of these things could be avoided if people use common sense. How shocking is it when you come up on a fire and you realize, okay, this is somebody really just should have used common sense. You run into that very often?
Well, when we roll up on the fire, we're not as much concerned with what started the fire. We just want to stabilize the incident and make sure everybody's out of harm's way. We just want to stress certain things as the space heaters, being close to ignition sources, anything near the heater or above it. As you know, heat rises. To keep things from igniting in the home, we want to keep candles. You don't want to decorate with candles on your Christmas tree. A lot of people might use a candle on a Christmas tree around garland.
And that boggles the mind,
right,
doesn't it? I mean, excuse me, tree, burns, candle.
Yes, sir.
It's crazy.
And there's a lot of ignition sources. Just keep your candles, away from that, and check your lights as you put them on the tree. They can also be an ignition source. As you know, incandescent bulbs create heat, so you want to make sure to check your bulbs as you're putting the lights on. Check the cords that they're on. Make sure they're not damaged or frayed. Also, if you have a wreath on a door and it has lighting on it, the cord has to run through the door. So watch whenever the door is being opened and closed to keep it from being damaged.
I've seen some information also talks about when you get your lights, you got to plug them someplace. One of the challenges is how many different receptacles do you use? And it seems to me that's also an area where you could get in trouble if you try to put too many plugs in one place.
Absolutely. And not only that is the number of strands of lights that you can put together.
Okay.
And the manufacturer will actually put a recommendation on the number of strings that you can put together, and you don't want to exceed that number.
It is common sense that all of us should think about as we go into the holidays. You get the tree, you cut off the bottom of it, you make sure you put water in it every day, keep it nice and fresh. Otherwise, these guys are going to be a lot more busy, and they don't want to be busy. They want to hang around the fire station and watch Channel 2. Okay, maybe not that, but anyway. Deputy Chief, thank you for coming in. Jacob, thank you for coming in.
Yes,
good opportunity to remind people. Common sense for the holidays. That's the most important thing. Coming up here, the role Prairie View A&M University is playing in solving the problem of food insecurity. What is that? And what steps are being taken to make a difference?